Do you feel comfortable if I put you on the spot to explain a little bit about what is actually happening?
Sure. So Biden issued a statement, posted on Twitter, that he was going to issue some new guidelines for federal cannabis policy. It started with him saying that he was going to issue mass pardons for simple possession under federal guidelines. And simple possession is a very clear distinction because it just means that you only had a small amount that you were intending to consume and not sell or give to anyone else.
So let me stop you right there.
Right.
Let's say I'm in Alabama
Hmm.
and I get pulled over
Right.
and I got a couple grams and a roach on me and they find it.
Yep.
I could be thrown in prison.
Yes, but that would be a state conviction or a state offense under Alabama law. He's talking about federal offenses, and there are actually very few people who are in. Oh my God, my phone's ringing. I'm so sorry. There are very few people who are in prison at a federal level for simple possession. Most of the people who end up in federal prison on cannabis charges are there for felony charges, which means that they had the marijuana offense, but then they also maybe had a handgun, even if it was licensed and legal. That still constitutes a felony charge, which is insane. So you can have a tiny amount of marijuana and a legal licensed handgun. And if you're caught with that by a federal agent or officer, you can be charged with a felony. Or something like conspiracy to distribute, which is what Stephanie Shepard, who we
Yeah.
had on the podcast, check out our episode with Stephanie Shepard, who's now a partnerships manager with the Last Prisoner Project. She was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for a first time nonviolent offense with a conspiracy to distribute, even though she had nothing. She never touched the plant. She literally got caught up in something where someone else was convicted, and then she was convicted on a conspiracy charge with that individual. So the federal charge of simple possession, the fact that Biden is pardoning these people who have this federal offense, really only means that it's going to affect about 6,500 people who were charged over, I think, about 20 years. I can look up the date range
Yeah.
but it's really not that many people in sort of, it pales in comparison to the number of people nationwide who have been convicted of cannabis offenses, right?
Got it. So it's the pinch of salt in the cookie dough recipe.
Totally.
Got it.
Yeah, there was an ACLU spokesperson who said it was a drop in the ocean of injustice.
Oh, what a wonderful quote.
Very
But also,
evocative.
I love a rock that ripples its way through the lake.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? Like, I spoke to people when I was researching these articles who were like, "Yeah, it's a small step, but any step is a step in the right direction." And in some ways, this is a big step because the president of the United States coming forward and saying he's going to pardon cannabis prisoners, and he's going to also, another part of it was that he said he's going to review the scheduling of marijuana as a Schedule 1 drug, which means that it's a controlled substance that is on par with heroin or LSD. He's going to have his people review that. I mean, it's the beginning of those steps, but this is a huge fucking deal because it will have that ripple effect. He also called on governors at the state level to pardon marijuana offenses state by state. So he's setting an example, and he is hopefully, going to make that sort of statement that, I'm doing this and everyone should follow suit.